Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and in this video, I'm reviewing the Lectric XP 2.0, so let's get into it. Before we get into the walk around, I have one favor to ask of you. If you are looking to purchase a Lectric XP 2.0, please consider using the link in the description before you make your purchase. That'll take you to Lectric XP's website, and it helps me continue to make videos like this one. Really appreciate your support. I will also have links to our electric bike accessories list, our top e-bike brands page, and finally our electric bike discounts code page. In fact, as of recording, Lectric is currently running a promotion where if you buy 2 of these electric bikes, you can save $100. That's in our electric bike discounts code page where I track all of the deals of the brands I follow. With that, let's take a closer look at the Lectric XP 2.0. All right, let's talk about all the components on this bike. And we've actually now had this bike for a few weeks. We actually took it with us on vacation. We really enjoyed the portability. We could actually bring 3 electric bikes with us, 2 on the hitch, as well as this bike in basically a Christmas tree tote. So that was really handy. It's much easier to carry a tote around than it is to actually lift this bike up and keep it from tipping inside the vehicle. So let's start up here in the front with the brakes. So we have 160 millimeter discs, Tektro mechanical disc brakes, which are very common on affordable electric bikes. Mechanical disc brakes get the job done, provide plenty of stopping power. And one thing that surprised me about this electric bike when we first received it was just how nice it looked for the price. It actually comes with paint matched metal fenders, and they look really slick on this electric bike. One thing that I will note with the metal fenders is you do notice a little bit more sound from the vibrations of the motor because it can carry through the fender. I've actually noticed that now on a couple of electric bikes with metal fenders. Not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like there's pros and cons to the more cheaper plastic fenders compared to these metal fenders that look really nice and of course match the rest of the bike. All right, now let's talk about these tires. You can see the tread pattern there. And what I really like is that they went with 20 by 3-inch tires. So most often on some of these foldable electric bikes, you'll see 4-inch tires. I feel like companies are now starting to go a little bit thinner. And what I like about the 3-inch is it provides some comfort. You can lower the pressure on these tires to get a little more comfort. And of course, it is more stable with the wider tires. So I really am partial to the size. I really think it is far superior to the 4-inch tires. Of course, unless you're doing some off-roading, these are going to be more efficient as well. And to go along with comfort, we should talk about the suspension fork here on the Lectric XP 2.0. And that suspension fork was one of the big changes for 2021. You can see there's not a ton of travel here, but I do find that I would rather have the suspension fork than have it rigid. It definitely adds some comfort, so I really like that they made that change with this bike. And I also should note that if you do want to lock out that suspension so it does not compress at all, it does have an adjustment knob here. You can lock or unlock it, so that is a nice feature as well. You can see we have a front light here on the Lectric XP, and there the light is on in daylight. Again, something that you necessarily don't expect on a $1,000 electric bike is front and rear lights. I always say that these lights are great for being seen. I try to run them in the day if I think it does add some visibility, but if you're riding at night, definitely put a more powerful light on your handlebars that is rechargeable. And one other thing to note with these wheels is this is not a quick release. So if you want to remove this wheel, you will need a wrench or socket set or something like that in order to get this front tire off. Now, the biggest thing to remember with that is, of course, if you get caught with a flat, it's a little bit more difficult to remove this compared to a quick release. But again, you're not going to be removing the front tire to bring it in a vehicle because it folds up already. So not necessarily a huge downside, but something to be aware of. You might want to put a wrench in your pannier bag or bring it with you somehow if you're going on long rides so you can fix a flat. All right, let's talk a little bit about the front of the bike. You can see we got the Lectric badge right here in the front, and then 4 mounting points. I actually have a front rack coming. I'll be doing a full accessory video with the rear basket as well once that comes, hopefully in October. So be sure to subscribe if you want to see that video. All right, and then of course, this is the cable management. I'm not a huge fan of this simple plastic wrap that they're using, but it's definitely more than some companies use. I actually like that it brings all the cables down. You can actually see there's quite a bit of slack here. Of course, that's for when you fold this electric bike, so there's room for these cables when the bike is folded. All right, let's move on to the cockpit here. So these are the mechanical disc levers. 5-star, I believe, is the brand name given that symbol. I've seen these on other electric bikes. Of course, they're not name brand, but I find that they get the job done, stop the bike just fine. Feels very similar to many mechanical disc brakes that I've tested out on other electric bikes. As far as grips go, we have these grips that have a little bit of a palm rest, which is a nice addition. These aren't locking, which of course wouldn't really be expected on such an affordable electric bike. But one thing to note, if you are looking to put bar end mirrors on here, it looks like you'll have to cut around this or perhaps put on different grips altogether. Of course, if you put handlebar mounted ones, you won't have any issue, though you might want to slide this over to the right and perhaps even move the shifter to the left if you can still reach it with your thumb with the handlebar mirror right in between here so you can get as much visibility. All right, so here are the controls on the left side. Power button, pedal assist down and up. So hit the power button, turn on this really nice display. I'm actually a very big fan of this display. It's very easy to see in the daylight. All of the information is nice and large. This was for sure one of the pleasant surprises of this bike. You can see we have speed there, the pedal assist level right there. You can see we have 43 miles on this electric bike. And if you do purchase this bike, I highly recommend you spend some time looking at the manual because there are so many advanced settings in here. I'll just scroll through a few so you can see all the different settings. They actually explain what each of these mean, but you can see the number 1 P actually is screen brightness. We'll go back to that. And you can see 1, 2, or 3, I actually have it on its highest brightest setting, but you can override this to a class 3 electric bike. I was able to hit 25 miles per hour, pedaling very fast, and I did a separate video on that. I'll put that in the top right-hand corner of your screen if you want to check out class 2 versus class 3 on this electric bike. Again, surprising that a $1,000 electric bike is able to reach speeds over 20 miles per hour. And of course, you do have other information in here as well. You can see that you can have your trip distance as well as your current voltage. And I'm not sure what this one is. I'll put it on the screen if I figure it out. And then you also have your trip time. All right, moving on to the right side of the display, Shimano 7-speed shifter, thumb shifter, very common on many electric bikes, especially in the $1,000 to $1,500 price range. Even on some electric bikes that cost more than that, I find that it gets the job done, no problem. They're cheap to replace, and I am able to adjust them without too much hassle. And you do have a right-hand twist grip throttle on the Lectric XP. Really like the twist grip compared to the thumb throttles, just a little bit easier on the hand. Sometimes with the thumb throttles, if you're really using that quite a bit, your thumb can get a little bit tired, at least in my opinion. And with these handlebars, they are adjustable up and down, and that is how this bike is so accommodating to a wide variety of height ranges. So you have a quick release over here on the front, and you can actually open that up and raise these handlebars nice and high. You can see there's a minimum insertion point. I will put them at their highest point so you can get an idea of just how high they can go. All right, and there is the Lectric XP in its highest position with the handlebars as well as the seat, so you can see how much adjustability there is. And that is one of the reasons that I feel like this bike is so popular, is because it is so accessible, not only with the step through, but the smaller frame style. Shorter riders can hop on this bike with ease. And you can see more Lectric XP branding. You got the Experience and then Lectric right here. I should note that this is the step-through model. I purchased this because I think it looks a little bit cleaner compared to the high step model, especially when you look at where the cranks come out of. Just looks a little bit better in my opinion. And then you have this reinforcement here for the frame, and the battery is housed inside the frame, so you get that nice clean look. Though because of that, you do have some external cable routing underneath the bike. And one of the downsides, at least aesthetically and user friendliness, is the fact that you have to leave the key in the bike in order to use it. Obviously you can see I have both keys here. I should probably just leave the one key in there so I have the spare if needed. But I wish you were able to lock the battery in there and be able to remove the keys. You do have a charger port access right here on the bike, and the battery is a 48 volt 9.6 amp hour. In a little bit I will show you how this bike folds, and I will show you the size of the battery. It actually was shipped separately to me. I'm not sure if that was because they wanted to get me the battery as soon as possible, or if they do that with all shipments. And if you're wondering what this piece is coming down from the frame here, that's actually a stand for when the bike is folded, which is nice, helps keep it upright. And given this is a folding electric bike, you can see we have the pedals folded here. I'll try to unfold them with one hand here. It can be a little bit tricky. They can sometimes be a bit stiff. There we go. They are made by Welgo. Welgo is a very common pedal that you see on many electric bikes. Of course, if you're not going to be folding this electric bike and you want something a little bit bigger or with more traction, you can certainly upgrade that. But otherwise, these pedals do just fine. You can see they have some knobs here to give you a little bit of traction as well. Moving on to the rear of the bike, you can see we have Lectric, the brand name there. And then we have the kickstand, which is out of the way of the pedals. You can see it's pretty thin, so it does dig in a little bit into the ground here. This is one thing I really hope they improve, because many electric bikes use nice, thick and beefy kickstands, which help keep the bike more stable. Of course, these are much heavier, and there's not a lot of traction when it's so thin at the bottom of this. And if you see some scratches around this bike, it's actually because I had the kickstand down, it was on some rocks, so it wasn't super stable, and the bike tipped over. So partially my fault, but I do wish they would have a little bit better of a kickstand on here, though I'm not sure what they can do, because they do have to keep in mind the folding aspect. All right, moving on to the rear of the bike, you can see we have the rear mechanical disc brakes, and there's a closer look at the 500 watt nominal, 800 watt peak motor. Again, definitely one of the bright spots of this electric bike is the capability. You can check out later in this video the hill climb test, but for a $1,000 electric bike, I'm not sure you'll find something that's more powerful than this motor. All right, moving on to the back of the bike. I actually just turned that rear light on. It does not go brighter when you hit the brakes, and it does not go on when you have the lights off and hit the brakes. So just on or off. And then we have this really nice rear rack. Plenty sturdy, comes with the bike. Another thing that I absolutely love, because we actually use our rear racks on our electric bikes quite a bit. We've put the panniers on this, and as I mentioned, we have the rear basket, so I'm excited to check that out. Basically, for a very affordable electric bike, you can fully outfit this for commuting or grocery shopping. Has lots of versatility, which I really like. All right, moving on to the rear derailleur, you can see we have Shimano Tourney. That's an entry-level derailleur, going to get the job done, no problem. And then you have the freewheel over here on the back. Also in the rear, you can see we have a derailleur guard. You can see that has already done its job again when that bike fell. You can see the motor cable as well as that rear light cable going up to that rear rack. One of the things that you might want to do is perhaps add a neoprene sleeve. I really like to protect this area from any of the chain, and of course that derailleur cable is kind of exposed here, so you might want to protect that a little bit. I usually either put clear tape, but of course you have a cable here, so maybe a neoprene sleeve would be nice. In the back here, I mistakenly called these bottle cage bosses in a previous video, and several of you commented that this is for a bike lock and that you couldn't really put a bottle in here. So nice mounting point for a bike lock, but you might want to come up with another solution, perhaps on the handlebars for a water bottle. It would be nice if they could put some bottle cage bosses elsewhere. I'm just not sure if it's feasible. All right, and then we have a double walled chain ring. Nice to see that on this electric bike. That'll help protect the chain as well as keep any grease off your pants. And on the right side, you can see this is the major pivot point for folding this electric bike, which I'll show you here in just a second. And if you're wondering what these little dots here, if I'm not mistaken, they're to protect the frame when you fold this electric bike. There's another one right here. And so you can imagine if you really slam this closed, this is where all the cables come through, and there's kind of a metal piece holding them together. So that's going to protect your frame a little bit. And one of the things that I did not mention when I was talking about these fenders, it's really nice that they mount right to that front fork, right in position, not going to have to worry about adjusting these at all, at least in my experience. Plenty of clearance. Sometimes fenders can be more frustrating on some other electric bikes. And the last component I wanted to talk about is this Lectric branded seat. This is the stock seat, and it is surprisingly comfortable. Dare I say, the most comfortable seat on a stock electric bike that I've received. So if you're thinking about the upgraded seat that they sell, you might want to try the stock one first, of course, up to you. Otherwise, we have other ones on our electric bike accessories list, but really like the seat, so nice job, Lectric. All right, now I will do my best to fold this electric bike. I've had some practice, but I am by far not an expert. All right, let's fold this bike up. So the first thing you'll want to do is fold up the pedals, and this is the step that I most often forget. So do that on both sides. And then you can take the handlebars down. There's actually a clip here in the front. And once that's unclipped, you can fold the handlebars down. This is probably the most awkward part. So you need to undo this major hinge point here. And what I like to do is kind of put my knee into it and lift up on the bike and kind of swing the rest of the bike around like so. And once you're at this step, you may need to adjust the pedal over here on the left side to get it clear of the front tire when you want to fold it. And this is how tight it can fold up. It's a little bit difficult to move the bike in this position unless you know where to grab. I usually like to grab this point right here as well as the handlebars so I can move it around. But again, having a tote is definitely a good idea. All right, and just like that, the bike is folded. I will say when it is folded in this position, it's still nice to have two people as this bike is still plenty heavy. But one of the things that I've noticed with these folding electric bikes is you can actually raise the handlebars and much more easily maneuver this bike a little bit if you needed to. You just want to be careful, of course, of those pedals because they are going to prevent you from going very far backwards. All right, and that is how you fold up the Lectric XP 2.0. Okay, next I'm just going to show you how you have to remove the battery on this bike. You do need to unfold it. So there's that lever here, as I just demonstrated with taking this bike apart. And you could kind of rest it against your legs if you wanted to. And you can see that there is a locking pin here, so I'm not able to remove the battery currently. I do need to turn the key 2 clicks and push in, take the key out because that will also prevent the battery from being removed. That pin is now retracted, and there's a little flip-up handle here. I can pull the battery out. And the battery can be charged both on and off the bike if you want to bring it inside. Here's a closer look at those keyholes. And this is a very thin battery. And I think it's important to note that they currently sell these at $300. So if you're looking for additional range, you might want to consider picking up an extra battery. With that, let's get to the first-person riding footage, and I'll talk about the various pedal assist, talk about the throttle, and then we'll do the hill climb test. All right, let's get to some first-person riding footage. We're actually still in South Dakota, at least while this video is being filmed. And just a note, again, that the bike, you need pedal assist 1 on in order to use that throttle. So we're gonna test out throttle only, and I'll talk about the various pedal assist levels so you can get an idea of what to expect. And then after this section, we will be doing the hill climb test, so you can check that out if you are interested. We're We're gonna go down here just a little bit where it's a bit flatter. I won't say it's perfectly flat. All right, let's do the throttle only test. And again, I do not have this bike overridden currently, so the max speed is 20 miles per hour. Again, it comes shipped as a Class 2 electric bike. If you are interested in how fast you can go on this electric bike, check out my video where I talk about Class 2 versus Class 3 riding on this bike. I'll put a link in the top right-hand corner of the screen. All right, here we go, throttle only, 3, 2, 1. And there's 20. So yeah, pretty peppy motor on this bike, especially when you consider the price. 500 watt nominal, 800 watt peak. All right, now let's talk about the various pedal assist levels. So I'll go in pedal assist 1, and I actually have it in the highest gear. And normally we ride in the highest gear on almost every electric bike, of course, unless we're going up hills, we do shift down. And I am going down a hill just slightly. And in pedal assist 1, I'm getting a little bit of a workout. If I go into pedal assist 2, I was going about 10 miles an hour, I think, before. Now I'm up to 12. Leisurely pedaling, I would say. Let's go into pedal assist 3. You really feel the motor kick in pedal assist 3. You can see I'm already at 17 miles an hour. And already I would say my legs are starting to spin a little bit. But actually, let me turn around here and we'll try that again, going up slight uphill, just to give you an idea. All right, so this is pedal assist 3. There's still 16 miles per hour. And I do need to work a little bit to try to put in some effort. Hopefully you can kind of see my knees bobbing up and down. And then, of course, let's go into pedal assist 4. And you can probably hear the motor kicking even more. And I'm already hitting that 20 miles per hour. So at least the way we ride this bike, pedal assist 5 is probably going to be reserved mostly for hill climbing, or of course, if you do decide to override this electric bike and get it up to 25 miles per hour, so then you would maybe use pedal assist 5, or maybe to get started from a stop if you really want an extra boost. But just keep in mind, the gear ratios are going to limit you slightly on the higher end, because you'll just start spinning your legs so fast and you can't really provide your own assistance to the bike. There's pedal assist 5. And I mean, I am going up a hill hitting 20 miles per hour. So I wouldn't otherwise be in pedal assist 5 going up that hill. It's plenty fast. All right, so hopefully that gives you a little bit idea of the various pedal assist levels. Again, I think in the lower pedal assist levels, you might be able to shift down just a little bit. But the way we ride electric bikes, using high gears, so you get a little bit more of a workout. All right, with that, let's take the Lectric XP 2.0 up the large hill that I test out all of our electric bikes and see what this motor is capable of. Okay, we are going to do the hill climb test. This is the same hill that I take up all the electric bikes that I review. I'll put on the screen just how steep this hill is so you can get an idea. The GoPro makes it look much smaller than it is. So we're gonna start off here, throttle only. And as a reminder, this is a 500 watt motor that peaks at 800 watts. And you can see on the GPS on my phone, I have the speed, as well as on the electric screen, which you may or may not be able to see in the footage. So going around 21 miles per hour. The bike is actually in class 3 mode, which is why it's actually hitting higher than 20 miles per hour. And the hill is really just about starting now. So this is throttle only, and then I'll go back down the hill and I'll do some pedaling so you can get an idea of how much pedaling helps going up a hill. All right, going 13, 12. This is probably the steepest part of the hill. According to the Lectric GPS shows 13. So yeah, no problem going up big hills. To be honest, this isn't a surprise based off of the riding I've been doing the last few weeks on the Lectric XP. I've done a bunch of videos already with this bike. And if you are curious about the class 2 and class 3 mode, I did do a separate video talking about that. All right, 13 miles an hour. So I think the minimum that at least I saw was 12 miles per hour. And for a $1,000 electric bike, that is really impressive. Of course, in almost all scenarios, you're going to be helping the bike up at least a little bit. And with the little bit of a smaller battery on the electric, you certainly would want to conserve a little bit more and not just throttle up every hill. So there we go, made it to the top. Okay, so next I'm going to go down the hill quick and come back up while pedaling. We'll talk through the various pedal assist levels. Okay, here we go, testing out pedal assist going up a hill. I'm gonna go in pedal assist 1 and shift down a little bit here. Second gear right now. And what I like to do is kind of start low and talk my way through the various gears and pedal assists. So I'm actually working a little bit now in pedal assist 1, second gear. Let's go up to pedal assist 2. Definitely feel a little boost from the motor. Legs are spinning. And of course, the steepest part is up here just a little bit. And so what I find with most electric bikes with 500, 750 watt motors is you can really shift down and help the bike up just a little bit. Will conserve some battery, of course. I mean, right now I'm in pedal assist 2 and second gear, and I'm not working very hard. Could totally do this for much longer, but let's go ahead and go in pedal assist 3. I actually need to shift up now, 3, 4, 5th gear. Still not too terribly difficult pedaling. Let's go 6th, 7th gear. There we go. Now I'm feeling some resistance. And we're going 15 miles an hour. And let's go ahead and go up to 4. And 5, 5th level of pedal assist, highest gear. And I would say I can still feel some resistance. This is a bit of a workout. But again, totally doable. We tend to enjoy getting a little exercise, but of course, if you wanted to, you could shift way down depending on your ability. And we're just getting to the top of the hill here where it's flattening out. You can see I'm going much faster, 17 miles an hour. All right, there you have it. Taking the Lectric XP 2.0 up a hill. Again, I just continue to be impressed by what Lectric has put together in an affordable electric bike for $1,000. And the motor is definitely a highlight of this bike. All right, now let's get to some third-person riding footage, and I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the Lectric XP 2.0. Lectric e-bikes has certainly made a name for themselves in short order despite the confusing name. Yes, I know it's electric, but what is the name of the bike? All joking aside, Lectric has been able to achieve this success, in my opinion, by offering a super affordable, accessible electric bike, which in turn appeals to a massive audience. Add to this the fact that the motor doesn't skimp too much on power when you consider the price, and the fact that consumers only have one decision to make, a step through or non-step through, and you have Lectric's recipe for success. And with the 2.0, they've built on their success from the 1.0. Suspension, some additional mounting points for racks and baskets, 3-inch tires, IP65 rated electrical components, wider handlebars, and of course, the surprisingly nice paint job. Together, the 2.0 is a surprisingly good package, and any of my small complaints are tempered by the fact that this e-bike only costs $1,000. Perhaps the only big consideration is if the 9.6 amp hour battery is large enough. Ignore the 45 plus range stated on their website, as that is going to be only under the most ideal conditions. I will try to do a throttle only range test of my own, but based on my research, throttle only range is around 20 miles and definitely into the 30-mile range while pedaling. Of course, there are many factors here, but that's going to be plenty of range for a majority of folks. Let's talk about the frame design. Firstly, though I am riding the step-through here, the other non-step-through model still looks plenty accessible. In fact, this might be the most accessible e-bike we've reviewed, as we had a friend ride this bike who was 4'11", and she had no problem on it, lowering that seat, lowering those handlebars. For reference, I'm 6 feet tall with a 32-inch inseam, and my wife, pictured here, is 5'5". Suffice to say, this e-bike is definitely an easy one to hop on and off, and easy adjustability of the seat and handlebars makes it an easy e-bike to share. You should note that the smaller wheels and longer space between the head tube and the handlebars do change the steering a bit compared to a traditional style bike, though this is something more to just get used to as opposed to a reason to not buy this e-bike. Just keep in mind that while this e-bike looks small, it's still plenty heavy at 64 pounds. The display is nice. I like the twist grip throttle, and they are still using name brand components on the shifter and derailleur. The folding functionality has even come in handy a few times, as it goes in the van instead of on our bike rack. And even if you don't plan to use the folding functionality, don't cross this one off your list. I like to tell people that just because it has that folding functionality doesn't mean you have to use it. And I personally noticed nothing while riding the bike as far as reduced stiffness on this electric bike. As an added bonus, this electric bike comes virtually fully assembled, and you simply have to attach the quick release handlebars. That is a huge selling point and can save you even more if you plan to have a bike shop put your new electric bike together. Of course, be sure to do a safety check before you hit the road. So I can see why Lectric has been so successful selling these e-bikes, and I can't wait to see what they have in store in the future. Will they continue offering one model, or will they expand into other styles of value-priced e-bikes? It sure seems like they'll be sticking around with all of the happy electric riders on the road. I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, if you are looking to purchase this electric bike, please consider using the link in the description that will take you to Lectric's website before you make your purchase, as it allows me to feature electric bikes like this one. Other resources in the description as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys.
Perfect timing. Dad!
Dad!